Welcome one and all to the Cinegeeks podcast where movies, TV, and all things geek collide. I'm Roy, joined once more by my lovely co-host Angela.
Hi!
Hi Angela. And let's get to it. This is day 3 of our special 3-episode series on the 2023 Cinemalaya Film Festival.
Yes,
okay,
achievement unlocked.
Oo, sa wakas natapos din natin yung 3 days. I mean, yes, we love movies. We love watching movies. Pero it was quite a journey. Yan. Anyway, so last we left off this episode, we already reviewed a total of 6 out of the 10 na mga movies sa Cinemalaya feature film main competition for this year. And today, we are recording this on Thursday night. We finished off the last of the 4 of the 10 na sine na hindi pa natin napapanood.
Yes.
Yes. And any general thoughts on our movie-going experience today before I introduce these films?
Well, it was a roller coaster ride for me. It was an up, a down, and up, and down, and up. Ganon.
Yes. Sobrang today was a wild ride, to say the least. Kasi yung parang first day, medyo parang tayo eh. Yung sabing swabe lang yung takbo natin. Kasi, pero meron siyang level of parang stability, quote-unquote, in terms of yung sabing quality. Pero yung how we perceived separately and together yung mga scene dun sa day 1. Sa day 2 naman, mas wilder ride siya in terms of yung parang intensity niya nung mga pinanood natin. Talaga, tama ka doon. Pero today, medyo a bit of both siya. Yung intensity and yung quality niya was a wild ride today.
I feel like it's a steep rise. It's either a steep rise or a steep dive.
True.
Ganon.
So true.
Diba?
And just a preamble or medyo ipipreface lang natin tong last episode natin. Cards on the table tayo. Of course, the Cinegeek rule still applies. We do not belittle any effort by any filmmaker or any group of filmmakers kasi we know the amount of heart and effort that went into making these movies. Pero
as creators ourselves,
yes.
Alam natin na pinaghirapan, binigyan ng panahon, ng puso, ng oras.
Yes.
Kung dugot pawis din ang binuhos nila, then
of course, so true. Pero as much as we can take the gloves off for today, we will. Kasi talagang sobrang ibang klase talaga tong araw na to.
And the whole experience itself.
As a whole, yes. Super. Grabe na ngayon ko lang na-experience manood ng 4 na sine, sunod-sunod.
Sa isang araw,
araw.
Parang
grabe.
More than 8 hours yata tayong nandun sa cinema.
Di lang. Almost 10.
Today, no?
Grabe.
Para tayo nag-duty.
Oo. Nakatawa nga kasi parang nung papasok tayo dun sa Glorieta for Cinema 2, si Kuya Guard, yung same everyday since Tuesday. So parang tuwing papasok tayo doon, parang siyang yung minumukhaan niya tayo, parang sila na naman ba yun? Tapos nung finally, nung bago magbulawan, nagsabi siya na parang sabi
ilan yun na po ba?
Oo, sabi ilan yun na po ba? Pang 10 na po ito. Tapos nakita ko yung nakapila sa likod mo. Natawa din siya. Kasi parang feeling ko siya din. Feeling ko siya din, pang 10 na rin niya yung kanina, yung bulawan. Anyway, so, that was a bit of intro dun sa experience natin for this third day. Now, with that in mind, here are the 4 films on our docket tonight. Okay, so the first one. With that in mind, here are the 4 films on our docket tonight. Okay, so first is Bulawan Nga Usa, or The Golden Deer by Kenneth De La Cruz. And the next is Tether by Gian Are. Next is When This Is All Over, directed by Kevin Mayuga, written by Abby Mayuga de Guia and Benedict Mendoza. And finally, Gitling by Joppy Arnaldo. Okay, so, Ange, why don't you give us the logline or yung kumbaga 1-sentence summary ng Bulawan Nga Usa?
Alright. Bulawan Nga Usa A man embarks on a soul-stirring expedition on a mystical mountain to look for the golden deer and find solace in an unlikely friendship with a spirited mountain boy. Cast includes Ron Matthews Espinosa and John Neil Pagtalan.
Pangtalan, I think.
Okay.
Yes.
So, Roy, what did you think of Bulawan Nga Usa?
Well, initially, sabihin ko na agad, right off the bat, kudos to Ron Matthews Espinosa. As I understand, first starring role niya to. Kasi parang introducing yung nasa credits kanina. Na kung tama yung pagkakaalala ko. And I don't think itong si John Neil parang first time din niya kasi hindi siya naging parang end introducing din eh.
Is this a kid?
Yung bata si Mingoy. Yan. So Ron plays McCoy. Tama ba? McCoy, no?
Yes,
si McCoy.
McCoy.
And he has this very, very special relationship with his grandfather. Kasi siya yung nagpalaki kay McCoy in the absence of his parents.
Mm-hmm.
And sobra yung bond nilang dalawa. And yung story itself, just to flesh it out a bit more before we continue, it's about yung si McCoy, played by Ron Matthews Espinosa.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a very close relationship with his grandfather.
Okay.
Na nagpalaki sa kanya in the absence of his real parents. And growing up in Iloilo, meron silang madalas na puntahan na bundok doon sa malapit sa kanila.
Yes.
Na yung alamat na sinishare ng lolo niya sa kanya is the legend of the Bulawan Nga Usa.
Or the golden deer.
Yes, the golden deer. Now, ang kwento doon is yung golden deer is a creature na created by the diwata that lives in the forest of the mountains.
Yes.
And according to legend, na anyone who gets to see the golden deer gets to make a wish.
Mm-hmm.
Now, yung parang opening, yung first act centers around the their constant yung trips pabalik-balik doon sa mountains na I would assume is for the lolo, bonding time nila. Pero para kay young McCoy, parang talagang siya, gusto niya mahanap yung golden deer.
Para siyang pilgrimage.
Yan, parang nagiging ganun yung dating. And I really appreciated how heartfelt this story was. Ayoko sabihin siyang parang it felt autobiographical, pero you know that the story came from a real and a very deep place.
Very personal.
Very personal nung kwento. Sobrang niyang tender.
Mm-mm.
Sobrang napaka gentle nung buong kwento, na hindi siya yung gagawa siya ng parang, again, yung nasabi ko, like the previous episodes, some movies would have this parang ADHD quality, na they would feel the need to have superficial conflict.
Yes.
This did not have any conflict at all.
Mm-mm.
Except for something that happens that informs the rest of the story. I'm not gonna say what happens. Hopefully, you guys get a chance to see this.
Yeah.
Pero, yun lang siya. And actually, hindi nga siya parang nakapag-sour nung proceedings eh. Yes, it does shape the path of our protagonist from that point forward.
Yes.
Whatever that thing that happened was. Pero hindi siya yung parang naging bitter. Hindi siya yung naging parang he hated the world. If anything pa nga, mas naging in touch siya with everything that yung that represented yung pinagsamahan nila nung lolo niya. Yun. The acting was so natural, and I would assume pa nga na there was a part parang featuring a group of farmers just enjoying their company, each other's company. I think na pagsabi na natin kanina na
artista kaya sila.
Yun, or parang totoong mga farmers sila.
Oo, kasi parang hindi sila actors eh.
Exactly.
That's how natural they were.
Yes.
Oo.
Yan. Ikaw ba, what did you think about Bulawan Nga Usa?
For me, sobra niyang just very, very simple. Like, it's simple enough para maging, it made me feel like it's a children's storybook.
Yes, true.
No? Ganun siya ka-simple and ganun siya sincere. Yung heart nung story. And isa pang naisip ko just now, para siyang Eat, Pray, Love, pero by way of Paulo Coelho.
Ooh.
It's soul-searching, pero mas deeper yung hinahanap niya.
Hindi
Not
lang yung...
Not just himself. Hindi lang yung, I'm searching for myself
in this
journey, in this pilgrimage.
Hindi lang siya parang pseudo-hedonistic, na parang what my humanity craves. Ganun, hindi eh. Parang what my soul craves yung hinahanap niya dito eh. True. Sige, go. Sorry.
So, I don't wanna spoil anything, pero ayun ganun siya kasimple. Wala naman siyang masyadong nuance. Kasi nga, that's how children's storybooks are.
Yes.
Diba?
Yes, it does. It's very, it might seem obtuse. And for parts, it is. Lalo na dun sa mga parts na sobrang placid ng proceedings. Na it's just being. Again, I'm gonna go back to that term that I use. Na it doesn't have to have something to root against. You're just seeing a character just searching for themselves. Tama ka dun eh. And I was really enchanted, if you will, by the sincerity and the simplicity of the story. Yun nga.
If anything pa nga, parang it transports you to that place.
Yes.
Na sobrang, parang naaamoy mo yung fresh air.
True.
Ganon.
Oo.
Ang sarap panoorin, ang sarap sa mata.
Tama. Ang sarap sa mata. It's a feast for the senses if you appreciate these kinds of talagang sobrang slow and placid kind of movies. Talaga. Just to, go over the things na parang I thought the movie could have done better.
Yes.
Medyo dun tayo sa technical aspects niya.
And since you mentioned yung senses, sige, go ahead.
Yun na nga eh. I sadly, I would have hoped if the movie or the team behind the movie would have had the chance to go over their technical stuff, specifically yung sound mix nila.
Yes.
Parang siguro naka second pass or third pass pa bago na pasa siya na final. Kasi may mga times na madidinig mo yung dialogue, matino, lalo na yung simula, maayos, sige. Tapos pagdating natin sa may bandang gitna, biglang nawawala, nangungongo, na
parang muffled
siya.
Parang ang layo sa mic.
True. And
well, it's set in the province and open, hindi siya studio.
Oo. I know. I am aware of that naman. Pero ang sa akin lang sana is, I don't know if it was an option sa kanila. I mean, judging from yung ganitong klase na independent film production. Pero sana nakapag-ADR sila. Or yung ADR for our Cinegeeks na aren't in the know. It's a process where after the movie is shot, yung mga actors, pinapabalik sila to a recording studio to re-record their dialogue para maitapal yung bagong recording over doon sa film na shoot. Para pag may mga ganong instances na halimbawa hindi mahahagip ng mic yung dialogue, may klarong copy silang pwedeng timplahin para hindi naman yung parang tinapal lang na record. Kahit sabihin natin halimbawa gumagalaw yung kotse tapos umaalog yung sinasakyan nila, hindi naman pwedeng umaalog yung katawan na picture pero yung boses malinaw. I-edit pa nila yon.
Yes.
Pero at least meron silang malinaw na kopya galing sa ADR.
Hindi na sacrifice yung dialogue.
Hindi.
Dun sa parang ambient sounds.
Oo, true. And yun nga lang, unfortunately, this movie could have benefited from it kasi ang dami niyang mga dialogue na parang sobrang vital. Sobrang niyang dapat mapakinggan Buti na lang nga may subtitles siya, Cinemalaya. Pero talaga, if this were just released any other time na hindi kailangan ng subtitles, magsasuffer talaga unfortunately yung movie. You talked about something about yung length itself earlier.
Kasi nga, since the entire experience felt like a children's story, I feel like this should belong to the short film category. Kasi maybe it's an hour too long to get to where it's supposed to be. Yung yung final resolution ng kanyang journey as a person, yung character. Pero we could have saved at least 40 minutes.
True.
There were very prolonged scenes na could be shortened. Especially with a premise as simple as this. You didn't need all that time to tell it.
True. Actually, just to add to kung ano yung sinabi mo, I think that I don't know if it's a twist sa dulo. I think the ending would have landed harder if it was a short film.
Yes.
Kung talagang parang sobra nating focus lang doon sa yung kwento talaga. Yan, siguro pwedeng maging mas leaner, mas tighter sana yung kwento.
Yes.
If it were a short story, short form siya. But that's not to take away. I think naman kasi yung parang ayoko sabihin masyado na parang excess. Pero siguro dun papasok kasi yung mga atmosphere building nung movie sana. Pero that's it, I guess. We will give our final thoughts for all the movies later on at the end of the podcast. But Ange, let's go on to our next film, which is Tether.
All right.
Okay. After having a one-night stand, an arrogant playboy and a timid young woman discover that any kind of pleasure or pain they inflict on themselves can be felt simultaneously by the other person. Now, the cast includes Mikoy Morales, Jory Belagoto, Breach May Valencia, Olivia Banela, and Albert Briones. So, Ange, what did you think of Tether?
I wasn't as tethered to it as I hoped.
Yeah.
It did not connect with me, unfortunately. Well, kudos to the cast, especially the two leads, kasi they really did their best with the material they got.
Oo.
And ramdam mo na nag-try talaga sila eh. Pero yeah, I didn't get the story. The premise was good. Actually,
sobrang intriguing nga ng premise niya eh.
Para siyang may pagka-sci-fi na Twilight Zone eh. 'Di ba?
True.
Parang ang sabi ko pa nga para siyang Freaky Friday. Pero by way of Sense8. Kasi dalawa lang sila. Tapos meron silang parang shared senses.
So Sense 2.
Kasi Sense 2.
Okay.
Kasi yung nararamdaman ng isang tao, nung guy, nararamdaman din ng girl. Everything, ha? As in sense of smell, sense of touch, sense of except sight siguro. Pero sense of taste.
Yung mga ganun.
Mga ganung bagay. And parang thesis statement yata nito is yung how you are tethered to your toxic relationships.
Parang ganun.
Yun yung gusto niyang sabihin.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, hindi niya na land yung talagang gusto niyang hindi niya natumbok eh. I don't know if nakulangan sila ng oras or there are times na sobrang fast-paced nung pag-uusap nila. And then biglang they struggle to complete sentences. It's very hard to watch. I'm so sorry.
I will unfortunately agree with you. I am not gonna sugarcoat this. This was a very unpleasant experience. And I'm not just talking about yung script. Okay, I appreciate that there was an effort to hopefully parang try to flesh out a very high concept, a highbrow concept. 'Di ba? Tama ka sa sinabi mo na para siyang Twilight Zone na kwento na parang what if two people who shared a one night stand suddenly are able to feel each other's senses, 'di ba? That is a very intriguing premise, and using that for a story that basically is a commentary on toxic relationships. Parang you should have had a slam dunk with that, kasi ano lang talaga, parang yung execution lang dapat siguro mas nag-focus sila more doon sa yung uneasiness na naramdaman nila about their new shared experience. Kasi doon sa part na nagkita sila after they realize that they can feel each other's senses, it just becomes parang a short conversation, and then we're on to them being them. Parang sila na. Hindi man lang tayo nabigyan nung time to fester or to marinate with the implications in their own individual capacity, what the implications are for them with this new sensation. Kasi parang, especially since the guy was portrayed as a playboy, 'di ba? Para siyang okay, paano kung biglang gantihan ako nito ni girl na sige, timid nga siya, pero paano kung siya naman yung masaktan niya ako? Yes, we do eventually get to that. That becomes the parang yung climax ng sine basically.
Yes.
Pero parang nagmamadali ba tayo? Para tayo masyado nating gustong mapuntahan yung ending agad. I focused so much on the big bang na parang we didn't think of how to build the bomb first. Yan. Parang ganun yung nakikita ko eh.
Tsaka one of the things it's trying to parang manifest or it's trying to get across is parang hurt people. Ganon.
Yeah. Oh.
And it's true, pero the execution nga, it didn't really land. Tsaka isa pa, yun parang manipulation by way of pain.
True.
Kasi, di ba, they used pain predominantly as they weaponized it basically.
True.
Ginagamit nila yung pain to control
the other person.
And to make them to manipulate them, 'di ba? And it could have been a great story actually. Napaka-compelling nung premise niya. Pero it just didn't land the execution.
And maliban lang dun sa execution niya, parang nagsuffer din sa technical tong scene na to kasi the sound mixing also was all over the place. It's the opposite of Bulawan. God. And yung isa pa, maliban lang dun sa writing niya, pati yung technical niya, may dun na parang siya yung kabaliktaran ng Bulawan Nga Usa. Kung sa Bulawan Nga Usa, ang daming moments na you can barely hear the dialogue. Dito naman sa Tether, you hear the dialogue. Para siyang ganon. Na para kung
huwag mo namang gawin sa mga listeners natin.
Na-experience nyo yun for just a moment. Pero imagine that for like 20 minutes, the whole theater was shaking. And it was just a simple conversation. Hindi pa nga siya intense na nangyayari. Nag-uusap lang sila, pero umaalog yung buong sinihan kasi ang lakas-lakas ng sound mix. Na parang,
grabe.
Sobra. Tapos bigla siyang hihina. Tapos lalakas na naman siya. Tapos hihina. Tapos lalakas na naman siya. Na parang, I get that these films were made independently. Hindi sila yung dinaan sa isang proseso na masasabi nating parang kung ano yung ginagawa ni Star Cinema or ni GMA Films or ng mga ibang established na studios ba? Pero wala ba tayong quality control na dinaanan? Are we that excited to get to the festival na we forgot to parang do QC on our work first? 'Di ba? Para siyang nakakadismaya kasi you want to root for all of these films. You do not go into these movies saying na I hope this fails or parang pangit na to agad, ganun. Hindi. Kasi pero if the movie itself does itself no favors by parang being, less than stellar quality. Parang why, I don't want to say why bother, pero why go through the process of putting your heart and your soul out there if you're not gonna give the best quality or the best version possible of your work? I mean, if you think that this is the best version of your work, then kudos to you. Pero yun lang, nakakadismaya lang talaga na may mga ganitong work na nangyayari. And again, it could have been a great premise. Actually, it could have been a great short film too. Talaga.
Missed opportunity siya talaga.
Oo. I don't want to end this part on a sour note. The maker had a very great, cool idea even in mind. Hindi siya parang yung patapon lang na concept eh.
It was high concept actually.
High concept siya talaga, super. I would like to see the creator try again. Talaga, please. Please, I hope na if you have an opportunity to listen to this, please know that all of the things we've said are with the best of intentions, not to put you down, because we thought talaga na this could have been much, much greater than what it ended up being.
Being big sci-fi fans, 'di ba?
Tayo. Grabe siya.
Ang cool nung premise talaga niya, yung concept niya.
Hindi na nga eh. Hard sci-fi does not need any explanation. Just go with it. Takbuhan mo. Just run with it. Tumakbo ka lang and then just use the hard sci-fi concept to explore the human condition.
Yeah.
Yun.
And the extreme sex scenes were unnecessary for you to tell na they have a shared sensory experience.
Kasi kung magta-try tayo magkwento ng isang mature na story, going that route is not the way to go. Personally.
Yeah.
Yan. We'll go on over to our next film. Ange, why don't you set us up?
Okay. Now, our next movie is When This Is All Over. So the logline goes, a disconnected, desperate guy forges a deal with a group of privileged misfits to plan a secret party at the height of a global pandemic for a chance to escape his reality. And our cast includes Juan Carlos Labajo, Joribel Agoto, Ana Abad Santos, Shay Mog, Noor Hushmand, Jico Umali, Aaron Maniego, Renee Dominique, Lottie B, and Zara Loayan. Okay. So, Roy, what did you think of When This Is All Over? When it was all over?
Remember, Cinegeeks, when I started this episode, and sinabi ko na any movie, no matter anong lalabasan niyang produkto, kakalabasan niya, must be given a certain level of respect. Kasi alam mong pinaghirapan siya. Right now, sige, I will say that this movie is a technical achievement, a great technical achievement.
Completely agree.
There were many stylistic choices. The stylistic choices landed on a purely aesthetic level. It enhanced the heightened reality that the story finds itself in. Okay?
Yes.
And I also appreciate so much how game the entire cast was. Okay? Everyone brought their A game, including J.K. Labajo. Okay?
And by the way, Joribel Agoto, also the star of Tether.
She returns here. Yes, she's the co-lead. Yes, also bringing her A game as well. No question about that.
Yes, yes.
It succeeds in being this neon colored, drug fueled fever dream.
Yeah.
If that was the aesthetic that the creator was going for, they nailed it. Hard.
It really was.
It really was.
And also, napansin mo ba yung parang ending credits niya? It was a Kevin Mayuga trip.
Yeah.
Yun yung sabi niya. Dun sa end credits.
Yes. Yes, it does. It feels, I know, I haven't. I wouldn't know what a trip feels like. Pero if that's what they say it feels like, then I take their word for it. Pero, and I'll try to be as diplomatic as I can with the things that I found. Ayokong sabihin lang na could have been improved. Pero the things that I found that were so problematic about this film. Okay? For the movie to set itself during the pandemic, okay, is a bold choice.
Yes. It was fresh.
Sobrang fresh. And we're still actually
in it.
Na-experience pa rin natin yung after effects nung nangyaring lockdown, etc., etc. And one of the more parang interesting choices it made was to focus on how there was a difference in privilege, both between the rich, the elite, and the working class. Okay, so J.K. Labajo is this guy, slacker character who is a rich kid. He lives in a condominium, a fancy condominium. He has very, very rich neighbors.
And he doesn't work?
Doesn't work kasi pinapadalahan siya ng nanay niya ng pera galing sa States. And even if he does work, I mean, he sells dope for a living. Yun yung kanyang work, so to speak.
Yes.
Now, ang parang gustong iparating nitong scene na to na nung lockdown, nakakaawa naman yung mga dudes and dudettes na nasa loob ng mga condominium nila na nakakulong. Hindi sila makapag-party, hindi sila makapag BGC, hindi sila makapag-pobla.
The movie started in, I hate to call it pobla because it's poblasyon.
Poblasyon. Yun. Now, for us to parang use this guy who is in the company of individuals who think that the lockdown is a pain in the ass is a very, very, very poor choice. Poor taste, out of touch, sobra niyang nagre-reek of elitism.
Yes. Alam mo nga, I actually thought during the first part of the movie, akala ko its take was ironic. Na parang this is satirizing their privilege.
True.
Pero by the end of the movie, it romanticized it.
It even parang asks the audience to sympathize with their plight, so to speak, na nakakaawa naman sila, hindi sila makagimik. Tapos, ito pa yung nakakainis doon eh. Kasi, doon sa gitna ng movie, na parang, ang tawag nito, may naging birthday party para doon sa isang staff ng condominium nila. Now, the movie treats that incident as something na parang, bakit sila pwede mag-party? Bakit kaming mga mayayaman hindi?
Yeah.
'Di ba? Na parang ngayon lang kayo na inconvenience. ngayon lang kayo hindi nakapag lumabas ng party after constantly going out and partying nonstop while these people work for you, work their ass off to make sure that you have a very comfortable existence. And parang yung ano pa nga yung nangyari dun sa birthday party na yun was for a guy na matagal nang, according to the story, matagal nang hindi nako-contact yung pamilya niya kasi naka-lockdown.
Oh.
Na-forced siyang magstay doon malapit sa condo kasi trabaho niyang maging head of security. And then the other characters
yung mga spoiled brat.
Oo, they gravitate towards that thing, that incident na parang ay bakit sila pwede? Bakit kami hindi?
And take note, itong mga burgis na mga Gen Z, gumamit pa ng ambulance para
diba?
Sunduin yung mga party na hindi permitted by the building.
And nakaka-unnerve kanina that just being meta about this. We saw this with a full house, with a full crowd kanina. It was very unnerving seeing the entire cinema cheer at these horrific choices na parang ambulance used to transport children to an illegal party. What's cheer-worthy about that?
Tapos the staff pa will take the fall for this.
Exactly.
And then it's still very humorous somehow to the audience that we're with.
Kaya nga, ito pa yung
sobrang grabe, nakakanginig.
Sobrang bone-chilling nung cognitive dissonance nung mga kasama namin doon sa sinihan kanina na parang yung fact na nga lang na kanina nung nagkakaroon ng mga may isang character kasi doon na supplier na nung mga binibenta niyang kono ng mga yun. So itong si Bida na nagkaka-crisis siya kuno na parang anong gagawin ko ngayon? Shit, papalayasin ako sa aking swanky condo, bro. Parang ganun siya. Tapos yung staff na nahuli na dapat may bantay ng susi, which is yung si Jory Belagoto, was fired. Kasi yun yung parang compromise na ni-reach nung building staff kasi meron din silang mali. So parang hindi magka-bulilyasuhan na lang kung sino yung sacrificial lamb na in charge din dapat sa susi. Unfortunately, yun yung character ni Jory Bell. So tinanggal siya. So yun yung parang guilt na nararamdaman, yung surface level guilt. He was guilty because he got someone fired. Hindi siya guilty dahil nawalan ng kabuhayan yung tao na kinaibigan niya at pinahulog niya yung loob. Hindi yung romantic pero yung pinaramdam niya na this was a kindred spirit, yung bida para kay Jory Bell. And ang ending lang, niloko niya para lang makuha yung susi doon sa rooftop ng building para makapag-party sila.
Yeah. He wasn't sorry for what he did. He was sorry he got caught.
Exactly. Yes.
Tapos, yun na nga evicted siya dun sa condo, pero ang solusyon ng nanay niya, bilan ka na lang ng condo. Ano bang gusto mo?
Gusto mo ba ng bagong condo?
Mas upscale?
Gusto mo mas upscale? Sige na.
And then yun nga yung story.
Tapos yung kanyang pinaka-main na
yung Yaya story.
Yung Yaya story. So, hindi, yung Yaya story pa lang. Sige, yung kinuwento nitong si dealer kay Pusher. Tawagin natin Pusher yung bida. Kinuwento ni dealer kay Pusher na nagtago daw siya ng edible sa ref. Yun, na para sa mga kaibigan niya. Unfortunately, kinain ng tatay niya yung brownies. Tapos binigay ng tatay niya dun sa katulong nila. Tapos yung katulong nila, nung kumain, syempre, tulog. Bagsak. And dahil dun bagsak, hindi siya nakagising na following day para gawin yung duties niya. Tapos, ang ending, tinanggal siya nung pamilya nitong ni dealer. Tapos, yun din same din siya. Yung sinabi mo kanina na para siyang, the dealer felt sorry he got caught. Not because he got someone fired. Not because he got somebody parang cut off from their only source of income para dun sa mga pamilya, yung mga anak na pinapakain nung yung kinikita niya, nung katulong na yon.
And ito yung pinaka-disturbing doon. It's not even that. ang pinaka-disturbing doon, we both know na parang maraming mga grupo
apparently, kanina din, nung pinanood namin siya, meron palang Q&A with the director nitong scene na to. And ang akala ko was, okay, sige, Q&A, para siyang magiging academic na people would come forward and ask questions. Ang ending pala, ano pala siya? Kamag-anakan incorporated screening pala siya.
Everybody knew each other. They were taking photos dun sa loob ng sinehan and nagbabatian ng 3 rows away, di ba?
Oo.
And dun sa scene na kinuwenta natin,
yung tungkol kayo sa yaya nung ni-dealer na natanggal
sa trabaho and what they're going through, yung reaction ng audience, they were just laughing. They found it funny.
That was so stomach-churning. The movie wasn't stomach-churning. The people we were watching it with were stomach-churning. Yung reek, sobrang nagre-reek ng privilege.
Oo.
Tapos ito bang pinaka-nakakatawa doon? Wala pa tayo doon sa best. Wala pa tayo doon sa exciting part. Ha? Nung binasa ko kanina yung parang director's notes niya nung sine, ang kanyang parang thesis statement nito sa sine is, and inulit siya many times in the movie. Sinabi na, basically, ang issue ng mga mahihirap, hindi sila maswerte.
Oo, na parang the only difference between the poor people and the rich people is luck.
It's luck. Oo, na parang, na it just so happened na mayaman kami kasi sinwerte kami.
And we're struggling with the guilt of having that luck.
Yeah, we want you to know na, you know what, we feel so bad na kami yung sinwerte and hindi kayo. Pero wala tayong magagawa doon eh. Parang ganun.
Oo. Pero alam mo, kung hindi yun yung kasama nating audience, makukuha ko pa yung gustong sabihin ng movie na parang satirizing or exposing the class divide. Pero actually, this felt like that scene in Parasite na dinadrive ni Song Kang-ho, yung wife, yung rich wife. Nasabi niya na ang ganda-ganda ng walang pollution kasi ang lakas ng ulan.
Ay, oo, yun. Sinasabi na parang, yun.
I love the rain talaga.
The rain
kasi,
because it's so peaceful.
And there's no pollution the next day. Without even thinking.
Na yung pamilya ni Song Kang-ho, lumulubog na sa baha.
Or yung ibang mga tao na binabaha kapag ganun kalakas yung ulan, di ba?
True.
Ganun yung pakiramdam ko.
And it's a good thing that you brought up Parasite. Kasi ako, for me, after natin lumabas kanina, talagang it felt, my stomach felt so sick. Talaga.
Actually,
after watching.
May mga katabi tayo na ganun din na parang nagbubulungan. Narinig ko kasi, I overheard them whispering to each other na parang, hindi ko gets, bakit nakakatawa yun? Ba't sila natatawa?
Oo.
Ganun. Yun yung, na parang, alam mo yun, I felt parang, I can't believe I am seated together with people who find this funny.
This is gonna be a two-pronged parang statement from me of observation. Paglabas natin kanina, sinabi ko sa'yo, parang, alam mo kung ano to? Para siyang movie form nung naging parang nangyari a few years back na nung lumabas yung Parasite dito sa Pilipinas.
Yeah.
In the most out-of-touch thing ever done, okay, Manila House decided to hold a screening of Parasite for at least $1,000 per head.
For the ultra-rich.
Huh? Without any self-awareness of how fucking stupid that is. Diba? Tapos maliban dun, na para siyang yung mga kasama natin na iba, na yung tawa ng tawa dun sa kwento na natanggal yung katulong, parang feeling ko ma-offend sila sa Parasite. Sila yung parang, bakit kami ginagaganyan kaming mga mayayaman? Hindi naman kasalanan namin.
Hindi naman namin kasalanan, ang hirap nga. Bakit naman namin kasalanan maging maswerte kami?
And you know what, actually, right, just now I realized, this movie actually is just parang wants to have its cake and eat it too. Kasi what we're saying, okay, was actually uttered by the characters na quote-unquote yung staff ng building, and they were making fun of it. And ako sa akin, sige, I would say rightfully so. Kasi, what else can they do? Diba? We can the working class can only make fun of the fact na these people are so rich that they can end everyone's hunger 10 times over. And yet they don't. Pero yung parang gusto niyang maging commentary about it and then gusto niya makipag-sympathize din tayo doon sa mga mayayaman, that's just too much.
And then, yun
Pick a lane, dude.
Yung ending niya, na parang dahil napalaya siya doon sa condo o homeless siya until his mom buys him a new, more upscale condo. Tapos, palabas na siya. Sorry. Tapos, sa dulo, biglang nakita niya sa labas si yung mga Rosemary.
Yung mga, yun.
Si Rosemary hinabol niya. Tapos parang meron pang allusion of romantic, na open-ended. Na parang, what the fuck? Am I supposed to feel sorry for this white dude? This, privileged, jobless, white dude na pusher.
Diba? Tsaka yung yung dun sa dulo na parang ewan ko kung nag-double down na lang ba siya dun sa quote-unquote villainy ng mga ibang tao. Pero parang yung nag-udyok sa kanya in the first place to do something that got Jory Bell's character fired. Okay? I was actually happy that nung nawala sila sa screen. And then, nung bago siya umalis, biglang nakita na nagsisisigaw siya doon sa gwardya. Then yung gwardya was saying na dahil sa ginawa nila, banned sila sa building. Rightfully so. And they had the gall to parang pull out all of these cards na parang, you know what, my father owns the agency, I'm gonna call my dad and they're gonna get you fired.
Para silang mga Karen.
Parang mga ganun. Tapos ito pa yung nakakatawa to what you said na parang yung sobrang mopey boy mode niya sa dulo. Nakakatawa kasi ginaxtapose siya na parang, ay, anak, huwag ka nang umiyak. Ito, may $2,500 ka. Sige na, huwag ka nang umiyak. Parang,
kawawa
ka naman, anak. Ito, $2,500 ha? $2,500. Hindi pesos ha?
Tapos parang sabi niya, no thanks po.
Opo ma, sige lang po, okay lang po ako. Salamat po dun sa $2,500. Sobrang...
Tapos, it's supposed to make us think, yung ending, na parang parehas lang si pusher dude at saka si Rosemary.
Yung si Jory Bell,
Oo, na parang nasa same footing na sila kasi parehas silang nawala dun sa building.
So, dahil natanggal siya sa building, na-evict siya dun sa building niya,
redeemed
rightfully
na siya.
So, biglang tama, redeemed na siya. And he can look at her as romantic interest.
This is like the rich teaching us about the class divide.
So, oo. Parang,
and sympathizing with us.
Oo. Na parang where was the quote-unquote I suddenly realized how privileged I was during the lockdown.
And I feel guilty.
Ito, just in closing, kasi I value my
mental health.
My mental health and my physical health. At ako'y medyo kumakabog ang aking dibdib ngayon.
Well.
Pero, sinabi ko to kanina sa'yo nung pagkatapos nating manood ng Tether. Tapos pagkatapos nating manood nitong Over, parang mas nag-resonate pa siya lalo. I can forgive Tether for feeling
unfinished,
unpolished, sobrang very, very rough. Very rough is actually. Pero for a movie, for yung when this is all over, parang to say its basic thesis statement of the rich are lucky and the poor are not, and it's so parang nakakaawa naman sila na may burden sila na maswerte sila, na yun yung parang controlling idea nung when this is all over. It's just all kinds of out of touch and messed up.
Sobrang out of touch. That sums it up. And the perfect audience for this
to eat it up
was the rich and elite. So, needless to say,
we'll leave it at that.
this wasn't for us.
Yeah. Parang feeling ko na to turn on sila dun sa
plight ng mga mahihirap.
Plight ng mga mahihirap nakikita nila. Anyway, so yeah, as you can hear naman, this was a very wild day. I'm happy that in spite of the previous three, we still had a very wonderful movie to close out our 10 film stretch for Cinemalaya 2023.
That's right.
Yes, and the movie is called Gitling or Hyphen, and the movie log line is as follows: while creating the subtitles of a film, a young Filipino translator and a middle-aged Japanese director test the limits of language and understanding. And our cast includes Gabby Padilla and Ken Yamamura. So, Ange, what did you think of Gitling?
Oh, grabe naman. This is such a beautiful movie.
Yes.
About human connection, about communication, and about understanding and being understood by anyone, not necessarily a significant other or a lover. Pero yun nga the main elements of this movie is language. And there was no language barrier between the two characters. Kasi one is a linguist, is a polyglot, right? So, wala siyang problem communicating, even switching within seconds lang. Dialect, Filipino dialect, Tagalog, English, Japanese, and even a made-up language.
Mm-hmm.
So, even with all those tools at hand for her, she still struggles with understanding and being understood. So, yeah, sobrang ganda nung approach nung movie. Sobrang niyang introspective and sincere to the point na ramdam mo sa puso mo yung pag-uusap nila. Ito talaga yung masasabi mong heart-to-heart conversation. Because they even speak a made-up language of their own. Only they can understand. And I love that it was not played up romantically in the beginning. It was just being connected with the person. Parang hyphen or gitling. And para lang makonect yung title nung movie, inexplain nung main character, si Jamie, na yung gitling is used dun sa made-up language niya na pinakita niya kay Makoto, na nagko-connect yung two words na magkaibang definition ng gitling or hyphen. And then it creates a new definition. It creates a new word. So, parang niliken niya yon sa people, sa mga tao na yung isang tao, meron siyang sarili niyang definition, and then yung isang tao din, meron siyang sarili niyang definition for himself or herself. Tapos, when they connect, parang hyphen, parang they create a new meaning when they're together. Yun yung essence nung gitling or hyphen in language and in couples, in life, parang ganon. Para siyang connecting line, ganon.
I totally agree with that. Yung kung paano ginamit yung concept ng hyphen. Tama na may mga tao na iba yung definition nila in life. Pero kapag pinagsama sila, may possibility na pwedeng gumawa ng bagong word or bagong parang definition together, ganun. And ako, ang pinaka nagustuhan ko dun sa movie, yung parang sobrang unashamed niya doon sa kanyang influences. Specifically, yung influence ng si Wong Kar-wai, yung mga movies na yung In the Mood for Love na nakakatawa kasi binanggit pa siya doon sa movie na nagtatanungan sila ng dalawa parang what's your favorite film? Tapos isa yun dun sa mga parang guess ni Makoto na favorite film ni Jamie. And yung signature na emotion na nasa mga Wong Kar-wai movies which is usually hindi naman siya parang consummated love eh. Hindi siya yung parang nagkaroon ng catharsis na nagkaroon sila ng happy ever after eh. Usually yung mga ganong, yung mga relationships na pinoportray nung kay Wong Kar-wai eh yung mga parang pasulyap-sulyap, pa bulong-bulong, tapos yung parang pag-express nila ng nararamdaman nila sa isa't isa is hindi gamit yung mga usual na words na naiisip mong sabihin kapag in love ka. Parang dinadaan nila sa mga salita na magkakumustahan, magtatanungan sila kung kumain ka na ba. Tapos yung kahit yung manner lang ng pagkakasabi ng kumain ka na ba, tapos yung pagsagot na isa na parang hindi pa, doon niya hahanapin yung subtext, yung nuances of the relationship or the burgeoning relationship na from the start pa lang eh alam mo nang doomed, alam mo nang it's not gonna happen between them. And ako sobrang na-appreciate ko yung ano na yun, yung ganong choice nung sine to just be so unashamed again of it being inspired by again Wong Kar-wai. What did you think of yung acting dito sa Gitling?
It was non-acting.
Mm-hmm.
Yung signature independent films na wala masyadong movements, wala masyadong flair or performative acting. Parang ano lang, sobrang minimalist nung acting style.
Oo. I agree doon sa sinabi mo. Yung pinaka parang nagustuhan ko dito yung yung kay si Makoto. Again, portrayed by Ken Yamamura. And yung kanyang ang stoic attitude, yung kanyang parang pagiging hindi mo ma-decipher yung kung ano ba talaga iniisip niya kung hindi ikaw si Jamie, kung hindi ikaw yung kausap ni Jamie na parang meron silang, yung katulad na sinabi mo kanina, meron silang sarili nilang language na sila lang yung nagkakaintindihan. Yung na-bring out siya of his shell. And eventually, we will find out na parang may dahilan kung bakit ganun siya ka-reserved. Especially dun sa yung pakikitungo nilang dalawa sa isa't isa. Pero again, yun na nga yung sinabi mong non-acting. Sobrang niyang naturalistic. And kudos din dun sa dialogue. Kasi sabi mo kanina, polyglot nga yung character ni Jamie. Yung movie is actually told in 5 languages, no?
Tagalog, English, Hiligaynon,
Mm-hmm.
Japanese,
Mm-hmm.
and made-up language.
And yung made-up language na gawa ni Jamie, tapos tinuro niya kay Makoto, yes. Yung, grabe yung intelligence nung pagkaka-construct nung script in that may mga moments na mag on a dime, biglang iiba yung language na ginagamit. And it's funny kasi pinoint out siya nung sine through Makoto na parang tinanong niya na hindi ka parang in paraphrasing tinanong siya, hindi ka ba nahihirapan na parang one sentence pwede ka mag-English tapos the next sentence mag-Japanese ka. Tapos sabi ni Jamie doon na parang minsan mahirap pero it's fun. Parang siguro to imply na parang may mga times na sabi na parang gumagana yung utak ko pag ganun na challenge siya to talk in so many languages. And aside from the script, siguro yung naisip ko na strength niya would be its cinematography, yung the way that shots are composed, yung pagkaka-frame nung longing, nung parang distance between them, even if magkatabi lang silang dalawa. parang ramdam mong merong oceans dividing them na gustong-gusto nilang parang languyin just to meet each other halfway. Pero alam nilang hindi yun yung dahilan kung bakit pinagtagpo sila, nung destinies nilang dalawa. Ikaw, what did you think? What are other things did you like about the movie?
Yung mga lingering shots niya were so peaceful and very contemplative.
Tama. Well, tama. I agree with yung sinabi mo. And if you had one thing that you could siguro point out na what could have been done better, meron ba?
Wala naman kasi it's beautiful as it is. It is unconsummated love and connection, deep connection talaga between two people. Not even in a sexual way.
Oo.
It's just seeing somebody's heart. Ganon. Yung connection ng two characters na ang ganda. And ang bittersweet nung ending.
Yes. Yung standard na ganong klaseng yung kay Wong Kar-wai na parang just in the moment na you thought na may they would parang profess their love for each other, doon sila mag-hold back and ma-realize nila na their separate worlds are calling them to return, so to speak. And in this movie, quite literally. Pero yun, ako din, I agree na talagang wala na masasabi about this movie. Talaga.
What are your final thoughts about the movie before we continue on with our final thoughts for today's movies?
Actually, wala na. You said it. I totally agree with what you said na it's actually basically a perfect movie. It's full of emotion even if it doesn't have so much parang quote-unquote yung mga dramatic moments. It's so full of energy even if hindi siya masyadong crackling yung dialogue niya. Pero ramdam mo yung care and yung love nung pagkakagawa both in front and behind the camera talaga. Okay, so with that being said, what did you think of the crop of movies na pinanood natin in closing lang? Siguro not to go back deep dive for all four, pero just yung mabilisan lang na thoughts mo about the 4 movies we saw today.
Well, there are those na nag-show talaga yung parang time constraints or struggles nila sa production. Meron din namang narratively problematic and out of touch. And then there is with good intentions, very sincere and heartfelt, but it took too long to tell its story. It could have been shorter.
Meron nga mga ganun.
And ito namang one movie that stood out for me is like a master class of just making you feel things.
Oo. I agree dun sa yung last na sinabi mo na kahit hindi siya nag-i-inform nung experiences mo sa buhay mo, parang yung Gitling nagtatap into something na parang universal siya. Yung pakiramdam na ramdam mo yung emotion, ramdam mo yung lungkot, ramdam mo yung longing. Yun for Gitling. Yung dun nga sa Bulawan, sorry, sa Bulawan Nga Usa. Yes, it's well-intentioned, beautiful yung kanyang kwento, pero it could have worked better as a short film. Tether feels like a rough draft. Yun, pakiramdam kong para siyang first pass ng isang script, tapos dahil wala nang oras, sinabi, sige, yan na lang. And I think I've said all I want to say about When This Is Over. Ayoko nang bumalik dun sa negativity nung ano na yan, nung part natin doon. Pero that's it. Ako, well, just one last. What did you think of Cinemalaya as a whole this year? Ikaw, was it fun? How was it enjoyable? Wow.
Yeah. There were heavy watches, there were kilig moments, and there were profound movies and exciting cinema experience.
Mm-hmm.
So, I wouldn't have it any other way. Diverse naman yung collection of movies niya. Whether it was for me or it was not. Yeah, it was, I hope it finds its audience.
Oo, talaga. This actually is the first time na nakapanood ako nung lahat ng mga Cinemalaya movies in contention. First time kong nanood ng 4 na sine sa isang araw, ng 10 movies in 3 days, and grabe yung roller coaster of emotions just watching. Nagsimula tayo sa yung Duyan na Magiting all the way to Bulawan Nga Usa. Talagang grabe yung yung spectrum ng creativity ng Filipino filmmaking community. Talaga, sinabi ko siya last episode na in all honesty, ako yung tipo ng moviegoer noon na parang ready mag-dismiss ng mga sining Pilipino kasi parang lagi namang rom-com yan lagi namang cheating movie yan mga ganon. Pero just my eyes being open to the possibilities that the independent film scene dito sa Pilipinas can bring dito sa Cinemalaya was quite literally a life-changing experience. And like you, I wouldn't have it any other way. So, yeah, that's it for me.
Okay. By the way, Cinegeeks will be taking a break next week from uploading our twice-a-week episodes. So, we will be back the following week. And of course, if you've seen any or all of these movies, please share with us what you thought about it. Comment it on our social media. Again, we are on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at CinegeeksPod. Thank you, Cinegeeks, for joining us for our 13th episode. For my co-host Roy, this has been Angela. Thank you for listening to the Cinegeeks podcast, where movies, TV, and all things geek collide.